welcome in yet again to another wonderful episode here in Season 3 of the Cannabiz Conversations Podcast. I am your grateful host, Sean Welsh, and today is a fun moment for me. This is somebody that I've been doing business with in the background for quite a while. Been just getting to know these guys was out there. This time last year, actually, was in the Big Apple hanging out, getting to meet a couple of great folks, and we're going to get into that today. But as always, before we kick it off, thank you, Fat Nugs Magazine, for being, pretty much a leader in all things culture right now in the industry. I think they do a great job of bringing it together. I think they do a great job of helping out the mom and pops, helping out anyone trying to get a message through to other people. They're also great for the retail place. I got to tell you, I was in a dispensary the other day that had one. And it was just cool to see. It was something that was like, it kind of made it feel more like a store. So dispensary owners, if you're out there, reach out to Dustin. He can help you with their brand partnerships. He's the best. So thank you once again, Fat Nugs. All right, today is fun. If you don't know Eddie from Lobo, by the time today is over, you will, and you should connect with him if you don't already. He's a great follow with a great company. Eddie, how you doing today, bud?
Another day in paradise, Sean. Just happy to be, doing this. Always down to support what you got cooking. This sounded super fun. I love that shirt, by the way. Sativa 20.
Thank you, man. Yeah, it's it got started last year at the end of the season. I wore it, and it's feeling like I can't go fucking 2 seconds without being politics. Someone being put in my face. So I figure that I'm gonna join in, and and here I am.
Dig it.
So,
but yeah, super excited to just chat and this.
Well, we're ready to get started, bud. So as always, we like to kick the show off with the origin story. How did Ed find this plant, and where does it all begin, man?
Shoot. I think my story starts where a lot of, our stories started around like love of music. So going to like one of my first concerts or times out when I was like younger, it was like one of the first times I was allowed like out the house. And it so happened that I got to smoke weed at the same time. So it was just like being young, being independent, going to a concert, listening to some vibes, and just really kind of fell in love with the plant and had a personal connection with it just, earlier on in life. And then always liked it. Then, yeah.
So, Ed, early on in life, we gotta. There's two follow-up questions we always have to ask here. What age? All right, because we got a club going on. We call it the 14er Club, and it is not about climbing mountains and shit, people. It is about starting with the plant. The second follow-up is, what was the first concert? So, question number one: how old?
Oh, I was like 16.
16. Okay.
Yeah, like summer of turning 16.
Okay. It's a magical time, really. And the concert?
Oh, Rage Against the Machine.
Oh, geez! Wow, what a. Whoo, baby.
The Battle of Los Angeles tour.
Dude, I got to say, so 16, I don't know how old you are. We've never discussed this. But I would have seen Rage, was it 98, 99, 2000? They were out with the Wu-Tang Clan, man. It was one of the wildest fucking things I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, they put on a hell of a show. I will be 42 this year. So
all right, so I'm just a little bit ahead. I'll be 44.
Ah, sick. So yeah, man, that was just a rad ass concert, and it was just cool, and this kind of tied the two always of like smoking and going on like smoking and like listening to albums in their entirety, because like music would come out like on Tuesdays, and it'd be like, oh, we gotta listen to the album.
Yeah, for sure.
So like, yeah, it would just be like smoking and listening to like The Bends by Radiohead, or smoking or listening to like Illmatic, and it was just such a really cool experience, and such a like something that was just so much. I gravitated more than just like binge drinking and stuff. So I had to hide it and not the other.
Well, go figure, right? As it goes, especially in that age range, especially as we kind of grew up in that similar times, you know what I mean? 2 years difference. Really, we experienced some of the same stuff. And obviously high school experiences were all about alcohol. And I wasn't really down that train. I come from a long line of alcoholics to begin with. And so it just felt for me more natural to gravitate towards the plant. Here you are, you're 16, Rage Against the Machine. Where does the journey take you next within the cannabis world, man?
Well, I had to hide it and just like keep it something private to myself. I'm a creative professional by trade, always done photography, video, just a maker of stuff. And I was working in a professional space back in 2014, like so ad agency doing that type of like content collateral. I got an email. It was like, hey, my buddy needs a vape. My buddy has a vape pen company. He needs some pictures he needs some pictures. And I was like, all right, we spoke and it was Puffco. So the guy, the founder of Puffco was Roger. We met. I flew out to Denver on 4/20/2014 and saw the industry like be born. It really was like a fate moment that I met Roger when he was starting his journey, and I just like left Jersey in the morning and landed in a place where I can walk into a dispensary and like buy gummies. And then that day saw 150,000 people like sesh out at the Capitol. And I was like, oh, all right, I do this now. Like, this is it. I quit my job and that was it.
Pretty amazing.
Yeah,
pretty amazing. 2014, you were in Denver, man. We were on the front lines of the of medical, so like 2005, 2006, almost like a decade earlier, living out there, man. And it was such a cool experience to be a part of something at that natural of a level. We were growing, we were bringing our grows into dispensaries, cracking jars, sitting down, talking about process. Did we spray? Did we not spray? Whatever it was just really cool that way. So that must have felt like to you kind of like a new revelation, a new world in 2014. I mean, you're fully rec, you're walking in, you're seeing it just firsthand. Where does that lead to you after? I mean, you start the Puffco journey. What then?
I'm so sorry. I'm just trying to disable.
Yeah, I mean, come on, Ed. I know you're a busy guy. You got the notifications going off.
No, I know, like, it's so rude, man. I apologize. Technology be the death of me. No, freaking yeah. So Puffco was a really rad journey. I cut cutting my teeth there. I saw a company actually get built. What that really meant and how to do it the right way, right? Focusing on the product, reinvesting in the brand, creating the community, trying to make new cool things because you generally just like to make new cool things. And then like if things do mess up, just like fess up to it and like work towards fixing it so it don't happen again. So like gave me the confidence to be like, oh, it's not some luck crazier thing. You can actually build business with a solid idea and some really great core tenants. And watching that firsthand, like kind of demystified the process. So it gave me the confidence to like, enter the space. I met my business partner at a conference. Aaron, who we all know so well, the man behind the scenes, but I saw him speaking and the way he was talking on stage really resonated. I was like, hey, this guy knows what he's talking about. So we had some shared ideas and had an idea and just approached it, right? I thought we can add value, and that's kind of the core thing here. Is like focusing on building in anything with a value add. And like I thought pre-rolls were key for that. So we started a pre-roll company.
I love the add value part to that. And yes, those of you who don't know, he calls himself Grumpy Uncle Aaron. I don't know. That was a name he gave himself. I don't give him that name. But if you don't know him, go back, check out Cannabiz Conversations Podcast Season 1. I want to say first couple episodes. I mean, Aaron was on my list a long time ago. I've been working with Aaron again in the background for quite a while, and Ed. So that's something that came to fruition. They were part of the original list for it. So if you haven't, go back and check it out. But let's talk about adding value in a space where, I think the financial dynamics are, a wild ride. Do you know what I'm saying? I see certain brands just dumping money in a way that I just can't like reconcile. And then I see smaller brands doing nothing, and I don't get that either. Ed, what was the first kind of foray in when you guys started together, you and Aaron? What was the first thing you guys were all working on?
We spent a lot of time just again working in our agency and creative background. We started working with other large organizations, like doing creative and content, helping with social, helping in marketing, some product and development, and that gave us kind of like insight to like where we could best, see the opportunity of like making a mark and trying to see where we can add the most value. So that landed on pre-roll. I always liked pre-rolls. I was a big fan of rolling. That was like historically my like contribution to weed, right? Like I didn't have a lot of money growing up, but I could roll.
Yeah, so, dude, let me tell you something. I cannot. You have sent me some really cool lab shit that sits in my office where I'm like, Wouldn't that be cool if you knew how to use all that? I've always been a grinder, but I just I
It's a
don't
thing.
know.
You know, we all
I've
got
never
our
gotten it,
stories.
bro.
No. It's practice with anything else, man. But I get it. There's a convenience thing, and for myself, like rolling is such part of my ritual. Rolling and listening, vibing out. So
Yeah.
I wanted to make pre rolls, and we started tackling that. Right. I thought, like, why wasn't it a lot bigger of a sector? Right. It was just mostly flower and jar, and that was it. And like, I just wanted good weed in a joint, and that kind of led me down a rabbit hole of a cornucopia of cannabis creations.
It's a good way to say it. It's a good way to say it. The pre-roll game is an interesting game. You know what I mean? There are obviously plenty of partners in it. I nicknamed Aaron on his first show the Marlboro Man of Weed because, he's a little bit crotchety, as he says, and he's got that sort of, rugged, if I put a cowboy hat on him, he'd fit right in look. But at the end of the day, he talked about how what we kind of grow up around sort of, puts us in the position we're in. You mentioned you grew up, didn't have a lot of money. You had to hide what you were doing. Was there ever a point in your life, man, or earlier than maybe you thought, where you did come forward with that? It was more of an open dialogue between you and the people within your circle, family or otherwise?
Oh yeah, totally, man. I guess my real come to was, started like, I entered this space. I'm a bit more bold and, let's say, or daring than most might be, or you should be. But entering this space, it did put a couple fractions in the family. They weren't too happy because you leave a traditionally good job with benefits and just like traditional markers of like stability. And you're like, I want to do something new. Not only that, I want to do it in something that's transitionally legal. So you could definitely ruffle some feathers within the family flock. But no, all in all, my parents were wherever. But one day, my mom came out to visit me in California. Once I started move out there, got the thing up on the rails. I finally get like my first big account, and like we go see it, and it's MedMen and it's lit. And we're in Venice when they were, when it was the good times.
Sure, yeah, before everything else.
Yeah, before everything else. But like, I show my mom, and she's looking around. That's really rad. And then like we leave the shop, and she's like, and she like pulls out like the blunt. Like she brought one of the Cannabis. Like, and I was like, oh, what? They sold that to you? That's crazy. And she was just like stoked that it was on the shelf. And I was like, yeah, man. And then at the end of the day, like once some shit start popping up at the corner, you really can't do nothing.
Yeah, that's kind of how it happens, right? And for me and my parents, I went through something similar. They had the time where they found the bowl and they broke the bowl and they found the dime bag where it was like, thank God, because in your basement it's like 1.5 pounds. You know what I mean? So you can have your fucking dime bag here. I keep in my room. I appreciate it, but it was a low miss. But after that, it became more of a conversation. As soon as I was, I don't know, man, like you said, daring. I took a risk when I was a kid. Instead of going to college, I decided to invest in my work. I bought my first house when I was 19, almost 20 years old. And when I did that, it opened up everything for me conversationally with my parents, with everything in life, where it was like, hey, if you're coming to my house, expect to walk into people smoking weed. And it was just like, well, then we won't be there. It's like, hey, that's fine. I just know y'all love to pop by. So if you're going to pop by, just know this, and I'm not hiding it. This is who I am. And I sort of really embraced, I would say, the hippie culture probably like 94, 95, like right as I got into the Grateful Dead at the last minute, man. I missed the last concert by like 2-hour transition of missing a ride. But that's where it all kind of, to you, like that music, right? That's how I learned about this whole plant thing, was hanging out with buddies, listening to old rock and roll records, and someone going, hey, I think my brother has weed, and someone else like, hey, I can make this out of foil. You know what I mean? Next thing you know, you got a party. Like, you're ready to go. You got foil and some marginally decent whatever at the time. Didn't matter. Ed, when you've watched kind of this evolution, right? I think a lot of people talk right now about why aren't we somewhere faster? Why aren't we this? Why aren't we that? Having cut your teeth in the business, how do you feel about the speed and trajectory at which we're operating a basically, partially legal, mainly still, and especially a federally illegal substance at this time? How do you sort of How do you sort of see the trajectory? Are you happy with the pace? Do you think it should be more?
Oh man, am I happy with the pace? No. I think it's encumbered by silliness and greed and and but there's a lot of good people. Like, look, but it's this far, so it's just.
Well, that's kind of my point, man. Right? It's like I get it. I wish there was no bureaucracy or government bullshit either way.
Yeah, but we're this far. Can it be better? Yeah, totally. But we are. I just focus on making the best of where we are, and I it was a joke, but like my cloudy crystal ball, right? At best I have a cloudy crystal ball that from day to day just becomes different colors of like milky white, right? And we're going in the right direction ish today, maybe, but like it depends also at what level do you want to operate, right? Like if the level of operation for you is just like you just wanted to smoke weed and watch movies, then we've arrived there, and that's successful, right? You can get in most places solid, like clean-ish product with a bit of consumer education, which is not too dissimilar from most industries, right? You like Amazon selling a bunch of crap, and what the hell's in most nutraceutical? So, like, respectfully, so.
Great question. It's a great question. It's funny. We were just talking about this the other day. I was watching something, and you get the you hear the medical commercial, right? And it lists all these side effects. And one of the side effects is being allergic to the item. Now, I don't know how you'd know if you were allergic to the item unless it had an ingredient list, which it doesn't. And then the only other way to find out is to fucking use it, right? So it's very odd to me kind of where we prioritize things, but you and I both know it has to do with money, it has to do with, like I said, bureaucracy and nonsense with regard to that. But I will say that when I was with you a year ago, I'm not a New York guy, okay? It's not who I am. But what I loved about New York was that wherever I walked, I could smoke weed. And so did everybody else. And it was a cornucopia, as to use your word, of beautiful smells and scenes and just sort of frankly, a chiller New York than I am used to in the past. And it wasn't anything of issue, and it was always going on. And that part of it really was kind of eye-opening to me. You live there, but you live around there. Do you see that as similarly as I do?
Oh yeah, weed's in the air. It's in the air for sure. The energy's definitely changed. At the end of the day, like on a personal level, for those who love cannabis, it just came with such a freaking edgy like police element that just I don't have in other things unless I'm being excessive and dangerous. Most of the things I do, right? Most of the things that most citizens do don't come with the threat of like police unless you're doing excessively. So like I never correlated smoking a joint and then getting stomped on the curb. So, but like, yeah, so like the threat of police, I think, are what we feel most relief from. It's like having a predatory creature removed from his environment.
And dude, living in a prohibition state, even though I'm in decrim cities, okay, which that whole thing just like the whole thing's annoying. But I trust me, I know the decrim cities. I go to visit them frequently to find other cool shit to do in them, so I can at least be myself outside or whatever. But it's still there's that threat. So I went to like a hemp fest in Madison, and we marched to the Capitol. A couple hundred people. And we marched to the Capitol, and it wasn't a far march, but it was just, you stopped traffic. There were no police helping us. There was nothing, right? But they weren't bothering us either. And we just walked down the middle of these two streets, took up all the lanes. Nobody did anything. Granted, it's anyone who knows anything about Madison, it's like probably a regular fucking Friday for them with protests. But end of the day, it happened. And it was just, like you said, it was cool to know that we could just say our piece and then go on the Capitol, had a DJ and just sat there smoking up, getting crazy for a good hour and a half, whatever it was. It felt natural. So I like that. I like the way you say that about the police state. But let me bring you back to another police state idea that just got brought up. I think you'll enjoy. If I say the word DARE, D-A-R-E to you, Ed, what does that mean to you?
Oh, man, it was a drug awareness, rehabilitation education. What was
resistance education. Resistance education.
That weird ass Nancy Reagan. I have a special connection to that because she came. I'm old enough. She came to my Barbara Bush was in my elementary school in '92 in like PS 146 in East Harlem, and she came in with all that dare shit, and they had the little plaque that had like all of the drugs in it.
Yeah.
And it was just crazy that like they just came in there, the whole like, lady with the Q-tip hair, boo boo, and then they give you this plaque, and it had like a joint. It looked like Don't Wake Daddy with a cutout, but it was just like some pills and then like cut out with some pills inside, and it's like amphetamines, and it just told you what it was. I was like, really? What else? It was very informative.
That's exactly what I said to someone when the conversation came up. I said, man, end of the day, Dare is responsible for me wanting to figure out what the fuck's so bad about everything, right?
I know,
I'm actually inquisitive because of Dare.
Oh, yeah, I'm a first-hand learner, so.
Exactly. I can't know what's going on until I try it myself. All right, so we get into the pre-roll game. We're starting off in Cali. This is, later on in the journey. You guys now, today as it sits, are as far as I'm concerned, you're a nationwide brand. I find you in places I travel. As I said, I don't find it in the great state of Wisconsin because we don't do things that cool here. But I do find it in other places. What's that been like, man, to sort of, again, I've been in the background of it with you guys, but what's it been like for you up front in these sort of every time a new market opens, everything changes for you, whether it's how you do your job, what you do for your job, what permits you have to have or don't have, where you have to go. Like, talk us through the journey of trying to build a nationwide label in this market, man.
It's been super educational and humbling and tough and all of that stuff and grueling, but you get to see people enjoy the plant. You get to see ideas fail, right? And ultimately, what are the unifiers across what makes people happy, right? You learn how to, again, add value, because you don't get rich off of no one. You get like rich maybe with people after you enrich. So like seeing the pain points for dispensary partners, having to educate new consumers in different markets, understanding supply chain issues that come with growing in different territories and having to develop SKUs accordingly. And like, you get to refine the things, like you get to, like, I like to build things to break and then focus on the build and then the rebuild. So you get to iterative design, iterative processes. You're good?
Ed, we lost you there. Oh, you're
my
back.
bad. All right,
you're back.
cool.
You're good.
Let's say it's about I'm trying to iterative design, so refining the process and working on it in New York at launch from the beginning, or now getting it on the rails in Jersey and really being able to bring to market a solid product, I think prepares us. And like, it's crazy as it is, in hindsight, you can't ask for a better situation, right? Because the rollout has allowed those who really want to get after it to go out, try it, see where it works, reinforce that, stop what breaks, and then like get ready for like, eventually what will be a national, international kind of concept and stuff. But like, you couldn't, like, if they just literally said, like, it would have been a lot crazier if it was like alcohol, right? Like, you need what, $6 million, $7 million to start a liquor company, right? Just from a branding, like just in marketing alone, let alone distribution and getting on trucks and all that other stuff. Like, if you really care about this plant, I still feel this industry has like one of the lowest customer acquisition costs, and like you can build your community, you can really put something out there. It's not flooded. If you're not focused about left and right looking, like straight ahead is wide open.
Yeah, I like that, man. I like that. Keeping your focus on what you can control, not necessarily concerning yourselves about what may be otherwise happening around you. Getting things up and running in New Jersey, I know, has been its own contest for you. But as you look through this and you look at what New York's doing and going through, you guys are there. Is there a state that sticks out to you that you guys do business in that maybe is just easier or more refined or has a better process than others, man?
We have a good flow in New York, but the New York market is getting very flooded, though. I think with enforcement, bad players really just ruin every market just intrinsically, because They have artificial margins and artificial costs. So like they can do things that are disruptive, like front inventory. If you don't actually have to grow the stuff, you can front it, right? Or if you're getting it super cheap, your terms can be like 90 days or a year. So, but as enforcement is now a thing that's happening, and you get more the markets are getting better, the products are getting better, weed's getting better, and the ultimate customer experience is getting better. So excited about that maturity in the market. Jersey's really solid. And then forward thinking as far as in the States, Florida looks really promising. It's just a big state with nice sunshine. And then personally, I think, looking east, right, to Europe, the European markets are going to be super rad as well, because it's a super enthused population that are going to add their own unique flavor to the process.
Yeah, the Europe stuff does seem absolutely cool. I love to see other markets. We had on Jose Lima was an episode, PhD at Southern Illinois University, teaching kids how to grow cannabis, doing this thing. It was a really fun episode. Him being from Brazil, we talked about the same kind of things where Brazil is kind of like the U.S., where they're like, nah, and then all of a sudden they're like, wait, we have really good cropland and we know how to grow stuff, so maybe we should be more considerate. And so it has been a growth and an evolution. And again, I know everybody wants it to be faster, but as Ed said, we have to deal with what we have and make the absolute best of it that we can.
Hey, man, rules make the game fun.
Isn't that the truth, Ed? Isn't that the truth? All right. So, Ed, you've been great about the first half. Why don't you go ahead and give folks a little bit of a teaser about what you want to talk about in the second half?
Oh, man. All right. Sure. If you could do me one. All right. All right, let me I have to run and get something. Is that okay?
Yeah, I didn't know you had prompts, bro. Let's go. Go get it.
All right. Hold on 1 second. Sorry, the much awaited.
All right. The much awaited. Ed is back.
All right. So, what do we got? So we're in our studio. As you can see behind me, we got 3D printers. We make a lot of accessories in-house. So there's Lobo, our pre-roll company, and we make our pre-rolls and all our fun cannabis stuff. And then that's turned into Lobo Labs, which is a fun accessories line, all cannabis related. So we got rolling trays and all types of doodads and gizmos that complement our products. We make bubbler caps, which go on the jars. This is our new bubbler cap, actually. These go on the jars and have and turn them into water pipes, so you can use eighth jars.
I have mine. I'm not going to go get it, but I have mine. I have mine. We did some work with it while we were out in New York. All right, Ed. So you want to talk about the lab in the second half?
Yeah, man. We talk about the lab. I think we'll talk about Lobo Lab and some of the things that we're making out here.
All right, then that's what we will do. We're going to talk about the lab. We're going to talk about accessories. We're going to talk about how to get a product from the mind to the market in part 2. Be ready to join us then. Thank you so much again to Fat Nugs and Dustin and the team for all that they do. If you're a woman-owned business, you're a legacy business, you're looking for a way to get your message out, reach out to Dustin. The way he handles brand partnership and the eyeballs that these people get on their content is unbelievable. You'll want to go check it out as soon as you can. Thank you to Fat Nugs. All right, man, we're going to take ourselves a little break, and we're going to come back and have part 2 right after this.